Okay. All lights are green. Things are looking good. All right.
Did
So,
you go live in Tag Manager?
I'm
Or
live in YouTube. I'm live in LinkedIn.
LinkedIn? Really?
That's what they're telling me.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm
yes. Uh,
I'm not seeing anything. I'm so confused. Details. Oh, pending.
and so just double checking before I start talking and
Yeah, I'm not seeing that LinkedIn, and
pre.
I don't know what's going on. And I see you on YouTube.
Okay, that is good to know. Thank you for letting me know.
I can
Uh,
share the link over there.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why I'm not going live in LinkedIn. All right, already off to an awesome start.
Welcome to my.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I've got the pre-live, but
okay, there we go. It says I would come here, and yeah.
um,
We're not. I'm not seeing LinkedIn, but let's go with YouTube because we're there. Let's just hop
okay,
right in.
yeah, because it's saying that it is sending data to LinkedIn. Okay, but so anyway, hi everyone. Today we are talking about Tag Manager and why it is super valuable for you to use in your marketing. It's definitely. Oh, I am actually live in LinkedIn. Okay.
Oh, it's just a delay.
Yeah,
Or am I in the wrong place? It says pre-live.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't. I don't know. Um. Okay. So anyway, getting back to our topic at hand, we are going to be talking today about Tag Manager and why it is so important for you to use. And it's definitely one that once you've done kind of the basics, and my last live, I covered Google Analytics, what to use in it. This is definitely going to be extending and enhancing Google Analytics by you enabling you as like a everyday marketer to be able to do event tracking that used to be something you would need to have a web developer do. And it also has a variety of other fun applications for, different third-party marketing tools and things like that. But yeah, so firstly, I'd like to start with a stat. And so, according to trends.builtwith, they said that there's over 25 million websites already using Tag Manager. So it's definitely one that you're going to want to have in your arsenal to make it so that you can do a lot more. And so, I just going into let's just start at a high level. How does it actually work? So, Tag Manager is is comprised of basically three main factors. So we have the tag itself, which you could see, which you could see is it's going to be a snippet of code that's going to activate, and then once it activates, you're going to be able to do certain things. So like event tracking. So we're going to be tracking today. We're going to be using it to track a thank you page. And then the other thing we were going to want to do is track a maybe a button click. A really common one for us that we a lot of our clients use is going to be the like a phone number on a website or a mail to link. So if they're going to email you, so those are really big ones that this will give you the idea on how to do that. So now we have the tag that fires. We also need it trigger. So you don't want it to trigger on every single thing that happens on their website, but you want it to happen in a very specific context. So with that, that's where the trigger comes in. Um, okay, so it looks like we you found it in the LinkedIn. It just didn't show up where we were expecting. Interesting. So the trigger is going to be I don't want it to happen all the time. I want it to be a specific event that's happened, and we'll go into when I go through the debugging. I could show you the triggers and what that kind of looks like, so you're able to pull out that kind of information as well. And the last one is going to be variables. So these ones can be are dynamically changing. So one example that we have is we have a client that has many retailers that sell their goods, and so what you want to do um, uh, is that it is going to be the retailers. So we want to check we want to track every external link click. So it's one that doesn't go internal to their website, but it actually goes off to a different website. And so we want to track those. But what we're doing is we're dynamically passing the actual URL into the Google Analytics. And so what that does is it means that we don't have to track every single URL that's out there. What we do is just have the event is called external link click, and then it has a parameter that gets dynamically changed, and so that's where your variables come in. And we'll go through the platform very soon, and we'll be going over that part. One other thing that's super important to kind of know, like how does Google distinguish, or Tag Manager distinguish all these things, is that they use something called the data layer. And so the data layer is a little bit of JavaScript that kind of just sits there, and it will take in all the data, and then it kind of picks out certain ones that, oh, actually I have a tag that's supposed to fire when that happens. And so you could see, so it has the data goes to the data layer, and then the Google Tag Manager has tags that are waiting for specific events that are going to be happening. And so because of that, it will then fire, whether it's the Google Analytics, it's the Google Ads. It could even be things like third-party tools like Facebook Pixel. That's one I've used it for as well. Is just to have, like, when they click on the tail link, I actually want that to be something like a contact event. It gets triggered for Facebook Pixel. So that's definitely one that we've done as well. But it's honestly, the sky is the limit for yourself. And so that's definitely one where you can, once you kind of open up these possibilities, you have a lot of different options available to you. So jumping in, let us go in. So this is going to presume that you've already had it installed onto your website. If you have any questions about how to do that, we actually have a free live course or a free course where we go through this and installing it and adding it to the website. So definitely reach out to us if you have any questions about that. I'm happy to send you the link to the free course. But basically, this is what it looks like once you've opened up a tag manager. This is the home page. It's got the nice overview. As you can see, we've got tags, triggers, and variables. We also have some folders, and you can even have templates. So in this case, what's really important to do is to go down to the variables to start. That is excellent timing. It clicks here. So there may be some dogs barking. Actually, there's almost guaranteed there will be dogs barking. So sorry for that in advance. So one thing that you want to have set up is, notice how we have all these links and forms and scrolls. These don't come, these are all pre-built by Tag Manager, but you have to set them up. So let's go with configure. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you have all these clicks, all these forms, all these video, and then all these scrolls. I like to have them activated because now we can use them to actually set them up as triggers. So remember how I said external link click. So I do basically, you're going to be using, I use this one quite a bit, to be entirely honest, is the click URL. And it may have some specific parameters to it, like it's a tel link. And it's also going to be, or a mail to. So if the click URL contains, but we'll go into that as I set up a tag with you here. Okay, so.
Can you make your screen a little bigger?
Yes. Is this better?
For me, yes.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up a tag, and this tag is going to be, so my handy dandy demo website that I have for things like this. We've got a contact form, and I'm gonna just put in a bunch of, whatever test data, and then I'm gonna hit submit. And you're gonna notice that we were supposed to redirect to this thank you page. That's awesome. Okay. So we're going to track this thank you page. And so what we're going to do is we want to track if you land on a page that the URL contains thank-u. So how we set that up in Tag Manager is that we go over here and so you've got a couple different ways you could do it. So if you're on the overview page, what we could do is also we can go either add new tag, or we could go down to tags, and then we are going to click on new here. So I'm just going to do this for and then what we do, remember, it has two components that make up the tag. So there's the tag. And so it's going to have its configuration, right? What is the thing that's going to happen? And then this triggering is, when is this going to happen? So starting with the tag configuration, we're going to click on Google Analytics. And so, of course, these change. So you may have seen this in the past, but they annoyingly changed it. So now to do the Google Analytics GA4 event. And when we set up the event, we're going to need to have the ID. So what I have is the Google Analytics open. So it's really annoying. I wish that they didn't do this. Oh, there's the dogs. Okay. And so to find the tag ID, you go to the settings in the bottom left, and then we go to data streams. And with the data streams, we're going to want this data stream. We click into it. And we are going to, we're going to hit the copy button here. So you definitely you make sure it has a G dash. That lets you know it's a Google Analytics 4 tag. Now we are going to go to the, measurement ID. So we've got that. It's loading to let us know. Oh, it did find this on the website. That's great. We're going to have an event, and the name has to be snake case, which means that there's no capitalizations, and everything's connected by an underscore. Thank you, page. So we've got the event name, and then also, just so you know, you can put in anything you want. It's just Google strongly recommends, because it makes it easy for their AI models to work with snake case. So that'll make it easier for them to be able to pull out more insights for you. So that's the reason why you definitely want to do this, even though you can actually add whatever you like. So the trigger, we're not going to use any of these ones. We're actually going to go to the top right-hand corner where there's a plus icon, and we're going to click on this and create our new tag, or a new trigger. So this trigger is going to be on a page view, right? We want, when the page loads, we want this to fire. So we don't want all page views. No, we want to make sure that it's specific to that thank you page. So we're going to do some page views, and it's going to be, and this is where all those variables that we configured earlier come into play. Though we are going to be using the default one, which is going to be the page URL. So it's the page URL, and it contains /thank you. Oh, helps if you spell it correctly. So the good part about this is if we do contains, we know that it's only going to trigger on, this gives us some options in case the person has like an extra slash, anything like that. It makes it easier for us to be able to account for those little discrepancies. And so it doesn't have to be exactly 100% correct, but we know that overall that this is going to be mostly correct here. And you also, I strongly recommend don't adding the top level domain, in this case fuzz.com, because if you do decide to change the website URL, it's super easy to change it later on without having to like come in and change each individual trigger. So now we are going to name the trigger. In this case, that trigger is going to be called thank you page viewed. It's going to be a new option here. So now we have the tag, and now we have the view, or the trigger is when the thank you page is viewed. Now, we're going to name that tag. I personally like to have it GA4 event. It makes it easier for, keeping it organized. So we already got a thank you page reached. Okay. Now we've done all this. Now what we want to do is test it, right? It's super important. It's a big feature of which makes Tag Manager really cool. To get it, you will need to make sure you have this Chrome extension installed. So it's Tag Assistant. I will leave it in the chat. I will add one. So in this case, add a link to it as the Chrome extension. So I'm going to close this because my computer is starting to get mad. I'm going to also close this. And, oops, sorry, okay. So what we want to do is in Tag Manager, we're going to want to click on Preview up here in the top right-hand corner. It's going to do some thinking. And in this case, what I'm going to do is to make our lives a little bit easier, because you can add any page from your website. It doesn't have to be homepage. So we're going to copy this URL, and we're going to go back to Mr. Tag Assistant. And in this case, we're going to go directly to the thank you page. And it's going to send us over there. And you'll be able to recognize if it's working, because in the tabs up here at the very top, you'll see there's a little kind of blinking blue arrow. And so it can tell you which one it's connected to, right? So we've got both here in the top, right where the favicon is. So now we've made it to the page. So now what we want to see is what tags fired. So you notice that we didn't get the contact form didn't fire, the mail to link, the tell link, those didn't fire, but this GA4 event thank you did fire. So we know that it was successful. We're also going to double check this against our Google Analytics, because what we can do is go into reports here in the top left. It's going to do a little bit of thinking. And we are going to go to the real-time report. So it's the second option in the top left in the second vertical menu. And in this, what we're going to see is event thank you page. So we know both in the according to Tag Manager, as well as or Tag Assistant, as well as Google Analytics itself, that we've actually successfully triggered this tag. And so that means is I can close this down. So we've successfully debugged, and as well as debugged and tested it, and we can verify in Google Analytics and in the Tag Assistant that we were successful. So this is great. So what is the last step here? Well, the last step is going to be going to the submit, and you want to you'll see that there's new things that we added, and this is a really cool feature of Tag Manager, is that when you guys do this, you can have a version history, right? So we could see all the different versions. So it's super powerful about that is that, say someone adds something they weren't supposed to, and now all your tracking is broken, or it's tracking the wrong thing. What we could do is go back to the versions that you can see here, and you could see I also named them, and you could also see the date that they were done on. So what's super powerful about this is that we can go in and see what variables are there. And so you can start to do a differential, right? So we can start to see, oh, what actually did happen in this version that, compare our live version to their the version that just was 2 years ago. What are the big differences? And so this is useful for your team, especially if you have a large team and a lot of people are adding different tags. One other thing that kind of going off of this is that when you add new people to your team, you can add them with different user permissions. So to add new users, what you do is you go to the admin tab. You can either add them to the account or add them only to one container. Generally, I add them to the account, so they have access to all of them. And when I do that, you go to the top right-hand corner, and you're going to see the big blue icon, and we're going to add users. And in this case, what I want to do is I'm just going to add, just add the Gmail. Oh, it's already been added. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to add another team member. And what you can see here is that they've got administrator permissions. That's going to be for the entire account, right? There's all these containers we have under that account. So in this case, what I want to do is I'm not going to make them an admin, but I am going to go to the fuzz, right? The website we've been working on. I'm going to click on anywhere. It technically is anywhere on here. Actually, it does have to be the arrow. Oh, no, that was wrong. And so we can see the different permission levels that we have here. So this is just reading. They can't do anything. This is the most basic level is just editing, right? So they can't change other people's permissions, but they can add tags, triggers, and variables, even workspaces. Workspaces are also like different versions of the same space that you'd be working in. I'll show you guys what that looks like. It's not one you're going to run into a lot in my experience. Most of the time, what you're doing is editing tags, triggers, and variables. The workspaces is more like you want to test out configuring it completely differently, and you don't want it to affect anything that's ongoing or anyone else's work while there's maybe approval process and all that stuff going on. So the other one is that they're going to be, you can create for approvals these new versions, right? So you can go to, you can't publish, but you can get it up to the point that it gets the publisher to go look at it. So this is the highest level. So if you click this, it adds it for all of them. But if your team maybe have someone very junior and you just want them to create a couple tags, but you definitely don't want them to just go publish it on their own, that's definitely a possibility for you. So in this case, I'm going to just have edit. And then once you've selected that, you're going to pops you back to this screen. So you can also add multiple people at once. You just separate them with a comma and then remove them if you need to. And then you can click invite here. And they have to affirmatively accept it. That's why we've got a couple of people here that haven't fully accepted it. And then what that means is that when we go back to versions, we can also see who published the old one. So if there is someone published something they weren't supposed to, you can see which one of your team members it was and let them know, hey, you broke it because of XYZ reasons. And so with that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go back to the workspace. And you could see that we can create, you can have 3 workspaces in total to work on. But in most cases, you won't be having that fancy configuration. I think that's for just larger teams where there's lots of people in the team doing work. And so the last thing we need to do is go click on submit changes. And in this case, added, I like to always give it a name, added thank you page tracking. And then we're going to hit publish, and then it's going to do a little bit of thinking, and then boom, you are done. And so the other thing, just to let you guys know, So different. So now we have the 4th version of this that's been published. So the other thing I'll show you guys while we are here is that, so if you're doing something like a tell link clicked, just to show you what the trigger looks like. Actually, let's do the whole event. And so you can see here, we've got the ID, we've got tell link clicked, and then the trigger is going to be the click URL contains. So what that looks like for us, let's, actually I'm going to go back into the preview for a quick second. So this is one way that your team can look at, say you want to track something specific. I'm actually going to go to the home page and we're going to connect. And it is doing some thinking. And we've got the page open. So for, say, I've got this tell link. You can see it's very small, but in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that the link is tell link. So the other thing we could do with this is, because we're in debug mode, I've clicked this. And so now what I can do is I can head back to the tag assistant, and we could see that we've got 2 tell links that have been clicked. The other thing is, say we don't have these events, we're just looking to figure out what happened or what we're doing, is you'll notice that there's kind of a history of events that happen on this page. So in this case, what it is, let's go for link click, and we have tags, but remember how we talked about the data layer? So this is telling us what's actually in this information. So I clicked on something and this event happened, and then it's got all this wonderful metadata about that event. But you'll notice that we've got some of them here that have classes, IDs, and then text, but what we need is the URL. And in this case, the URL contained tell : and then my phone number. And because of that, we can then go back to Tag Manager, and we can have show you that the trigger says that if it contains tell. So one thing to watch out for this as well is that maybe you have multiple phone numbers. You'll want to track them all individually, and you'll also want to make sure that you've consistently wrote the URL the same way so that this fires every time. So you don't want it to be you added periods between them. You want to make sure it always has the hyphens, or whatever the case may be. You want to make sure it's consistent, that it's that phone number. Oh. To leave a comment, whether on LinkedIn or YouTube, and I'm more than happy to answer it for you guys.
There's no comments because I think people had trouble finding it.
Of course.
But it was good.
But yeah, that is everything to do with Tag Manager. Feel free to, like I said, leave a comment. I'm more than happy to let you guys help you out wherever I can. All right, I think that's it for me. And see you on the next one.